Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We are very excited to be here today, and I'd like to offer you guys some variety on the topics, and also let's widen our perspective. So we have a guest today. He will introduce himself in a minute, and our topic today is going to be the modern dating and the relationship challenge. How does technology, social media affect the dating scene, the relationship scene? Does it help us? Does it make things more difficult? Is it confusing? Is it um, could that be a good thing? Could we turn that to something positive? So this is what we're gonna discuss today, and I'm gonna let Jonathan introduce himself.
Hello, how are you, everybody? My name is Johnathan Peffer. I'm a creator of a dating app myself, and I met Veronica with a K at a conference in Miami not too long ago, and we began to connect and share some like-minded views with each other on the modern culture, and thought that what I'm trying to create right now and the product that I'm about to launch is a segue from what the modern culture is with the internet dating scene, and how a product can offer a solution to bridge the gap between the virtual side of dating and the real life connections with people. So we've harnessed some GPS technology that affords you the opportunity to find out where other singles are actually at. You can move your location all over the map, and we still offer the swipe feature. But once you get into a parameter with certain people, you show up as a visible connection. So there's other applications like us, but I believe that we've harnessed a technique to actually engage in real time with people, but still offer the safety features that the other apps are missing. So it puts the ball back into your court, and it really empowers the end user to get out and engage with people and use it as a tool rather than a toy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is really inspiring, because I feel that people getting a bit too comfortable with being on their couch and having this illusion, that they engaging with all these people and
Mhm.
everybody is a match. If you ever tried any dating site, and on my channel, I talk a lot about international dating, but this really applies to any country that has internet. So people get into this illusion, while they're eating chips and watching TV, that there are some magical matches are building up, and almost every other girl or guy is a match, but yet they do not. I feel like it's becoming this on couch lifestyle, and among those people, I think that there are some people that actually want to go out on a date. They want to go out and have coffee with a person. They want to have more people that they know, so they have more social life, and maybe create some more meaningful connections than just swiping. And
Mhm.
so what is your opinion, Jonathan, on the swiping left and swiping right? Does it give us power to choose? Does it give us um, all these opportunities, or does it actually rob us from real connections?
I think my opinion, and this is strictly my opinion, but from what I've gathered and learning about this market, um, the initial offering the swipe left and swipe right was a way for people to connect. But
Mm-hmm.
what these applications have done is tapped into a portion of your brain that's linked with the instant gratification. So they can become addicting, and people have they call it the intermediate gratification, where you make a match and you have a reward system that's, you can see whether you're matching or creating messages or contacting with people. So you get a sense of excitement, but you don't actually have to put any effort into it. So what tends to happen is people just live to make the next match, and in doing so, they don't actually engage with those people, or they create pen pals, and it becomes more of, instead of it being a reward system where the end game is actually connecting with people, it's just collecting, the game, the chasing. It just becomes more of, boredom therapy than it does actually promoting meeting people.
Mhm.
So it's a form of validation for everybody to say, yay, they like my picture. And some people want to do that. Other people want to actually say, hey, yes, we've connected. You like the way that I look. Let's go have a cup of coffee.
Mhm.
Let's go have lunch. And then the idea of it becoming this hookup app, any form of communication can be used to your advantage or it can be abused. So when you take these dating apps and you give people the opportunity to just create the illusion that they find what they want in the next profile, and all the all the people who create the apps are worried about is your time spent within the application, and that drives their value up. So they're doing things to keep you in the app and engaged in the gamification side of it, rather than give you any kind of tool to use to actually engage with people. So they
Mhm.
put fake profiles on there, and Veronica can attest to this too. We've heard people speak to the fact that if you go based on compatibility, no matter what type of compatibility test you're using, whether it's a mouth swab or a questionnaire, they fudge those numbers. They're going to tell you there are no zeros, there are no 100s. They're going to make it entertaining and enticing to keep you there so that you engage with these people, and it's all falsehood. So
Mhm.
I'm sure you heard the same things I did.
Yeah, so they can have you engage and you so-called keep your options open. And
Mm-hmm.
that's another point, we just had a little um, discussion about this. What do you think, where the boundaries are, with so the apps give us this idea of abundance. So, don't get stuck. Oh, this guy doesn't treat you right. Oh, there are 200 more guys. This
Mm-hmm.
girl is not, responding you. She has some imperfections. All right, there are 300 other girls. So, and sometimes people actually already get into relationship and, get into intimacy and all the other part, but they are still on. They are still on the app.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to tell you guys, a lot of you watching me because of the Ukrainian and Russian topics versus American. And if you watch my videos, you know that in Ukrainian culture, people, women who respect themselves, they do not go to that part with you until they get some kind of commitment. So, other words, they're not getting sexual with you till they have some sort of reassurance that you are there and it's just not some kind of entertainment,
Mm-hmm.
unless that is their goal. But here is the question, um, what to do if you met somebody online and you kind of like them and you maybe take your profile off but they are with you, they date you, they spend time, and yet they are keep their options open. I'd like to hear a man's perspective on that.
Well, so what you're dealing with is you have the idea of monogamy,
Mm-hmm.
which on a lighter note would be considered in today's culture exclusivity. And
Mm-hmm.
then, like you said, keeping your options open, playing the field, whether it's to just hook up the one night. But people fall into this category with the option to continue to swipe. The grass is always greener on the other side. I think what they fail to realize is that any relationship you're going to invest in takes action, it takes work, and it's commitment. And love is actually an action word. And people think that if they're not satisfied with what they have at that moment, they can find it in the next swipe. The availability is there, and they don't have to put any work into nurturing a relationship or being committed. And if you take that dynamic and put it into the perspective of what your goals and intentions are, and this is where our conversation went earlier, Veronica, is you're going to your intentions are going to become your reality. Whatever you're focused on is what you're going to find. So if you
Mm-hmm.
put the work and you put the effort into building a relationship, you're going to have a relationship. But if you're keeping your options open, you're never going to give anything to that person that's going to build a foundation for a relationship. It takes the work. It takes things like acceptance and working together towards a common goal. And if your goal is a relationship, you can do that. But it's easier for people to just give up and download an app and think they're going to find exactly what they're looking for on the next page.
Yes, somebody perfect. Um, it's I feel like some people maybe have a little bit more or less actually patience, and
Mm.
every person that's going to come into your life is going to have some differences. It's going to have some imperfections. To me, I think when you mention the core values, like some serious core values, that's a time then you could probably consider, and there is some kind of in both parties have commitment. This is a time when I would say it's okay to sign off the app, because as a woman I wouldn't be comfortable if I am seeing somebody seriously and this person is playing on the apps. It's not it wouldn't last very long. It's not because of some kind of control. It just,
Mm-mm.
we are not on the same page. If, like you said, if we don't have same goals, it just one of us is going to be unhappy. If
Right.
the two people, right, if the two people are open, that's just fine. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, there has to be some type of understanding where you are both at that
Mm-hmm.
moment. And at some point, even on your apps, whatever, if we just generalize and say Tinder, you have to take yourself off of the market at some point. You
Yeah.
can't build any trust that way. And no one's going to open their heart to you if they know that you're going to leave there and you could be sitting in traffic swiping at a red light. I mean, I've seen that too. So going with the topic that you had a few weeks ago, are you even ready for that? What have you cleared away the wreckage of your past? Are you ready for that committed relationship? And what are you willing to invest in it? How do you know if you are ready for that? And I think that all boils down to the communication with the other person and your openness and honesty that you have between the two of you. And you can establish goals for yourselves, for your relationship, and it can blossom from there.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's too bad that when we go to school, there is no such a subject, because I do believe that people, first you go off just some chemistry and compatibility, you're going out, you're having fun, but then the time comes when people kind of want to know where it's going. And
Mm-hmm.
nice if people were honest with each other in the beginning of all of that and said, I'm open to things. And because some people already have a preset mode when they don't want to commit, they just want to keep playing because they don't want to have responsibilities.
Right.
It's just, and
Yeah.
then
How emotionally available do you make yourself? And
yeah.
to go back to what we were talking about before, and I'll bring light on a conversation that I had with a sister's coworker, and she's on a site and she's playing the field and she has a guy. I said, listen, and I don't want to get into this whole, this is a totally different topic for a different day, but these things apply in everybody's life, whether you believe it or not. And, thoughts become things and manifestation and all of this stuff. If that's what you want, if that's where you're focused, if those are your intentions and that's where your mindset is, that's what you'll find. So if you want to be in a committed relationship with somebody, then that's what you need to focus on. If you're looking for somebody and you're preparing yourself for them, make your bed and don't put your pillow in the middle of the bed. Make your bed and make the other side of the bed available for somebody to be there. Once you open yourself up to that, then that's how the world responds to what you're projecting is your thoughts. And then if you're looking for hookups, then you will be at the bar at 1 o'clock in the morning and the people who will look for hookups will see you. But if you are actually looking for a relationship, you will be in the mindset to be in those places where you can find committed people and you will attract like-minded individuals. So if you're working a dating app, and this was some advice that I gave to her, was, hey, maybe you only focus on 2 matches. just stop. She's like, why pay for this? And I can see who already swiped me right. And I can go. I said, listen, I don't care who you can see. And if that got, pick two and focus on them and invest in those conversations. Then you're not, where did I leave off? Who did I tell what? You have 15 different conversations with 15 different people. And then here she is spinning herself into a frenzy because she's doing background checks on these people. She's looking up their numbers. Do they have a LinkedIn profile? Do they actually, if you can focus on one person and invest in them, then you're able to, you're going to get out what you put in, for lack of a better term.
If that person, that's a really important point. And I would say focusing on a person that you really feel that there is a lot of places there where you have similar beliefs, similar values, and you're really compatible. Sometimes those things just comes up. You meet somebody and you realize, oh my gosh, we're doing so many similar things. But because I do international dating, sometimes some of my clients, they go abroad and they focus on one person. They're not maybe as experienced to see that person just like to go out for nice dinner, so they think that there is something going on, but it's really not. So I would also say that probably before you start just being a serial dater, I agree, give some attention to those people you maybe met this week or this month. Make sure, I agree, make sure maybe it's 2-3 people, I don't care, but make sure that you actually got to know them, so they're not gonna work, or maybe they have good potential. But I would agree, when you do it serial date, like you're like obsessive about it, because I came across somebody who actually I had to refuse to work with because this person was just like obsessively dating or trying to date and was really hurt because of getting a lot of rejection. But really the problem had nothing to do with those dates. In Ukraine we have the same, it's really a bit mean, but it says, if the third husband slap you in the face, he is not the problem. So if all 3 husbands are slapping you in the face, there's something wrong with your face. In other words, you have to do the work. And I think that to a lot of people, they think if they just would have more options, the relationship will work out. But the truth is, they have the same relationship, just faces are changing. So they have that some inner issue that they needs to be worked on because they're just not ready to date. Maybe they are emotionally totally down. Maybe they have a big emotional withdrawal, or they're recovering after divorce. And instead of spending some time to recharge, I feel like very often people see this abundance. It's like being in the candy store, that all these beautiful women, and like you going on the dates. And I agree with you 100%. Like, you don't remember, did this woman said she works in a bank? Did this just travel to Paris? Did this just have this beautiful child or whatever? And then you do not create an opportunity to connect on deeper level when you keep swiping.
Right. You made a point of the person who just likes to go out to eat. And from my own experience, I know somebody who had said to me at one time, I was getting ready to make a career move and I was dating. We were getting along well. It was nice to have each other. And she said to me, I can tell that this is all that I'm going to get from you. We have a good time. We go to nice places. You have a lot of fun. But I can tell that on an emotional level, this is all that you're going to give me. And she recognized that. And I knew that I was guilty of it too, because I wasn't emotionally available at that time, because I knew that I was going to be moving out of state and the relationship was ultimately going to end. So, I mean, it was for my own fulfillment and self-satisfaction that I stayed in the relationship, and it was platonic for a while, but she wanted more and I didn't. She recognized it and it was over. So with that scenario, that's a good place to start with somebody to know, what their intentions are. And this goes back to the communication. Even if it is on your profile on an online dating site, tell people exactly what you're looking for. then they don't have to ask the question, and then you won't get people who are trying to look for a booty call or whatever you want to call it. People will know what you want based off of the information that you give them. And then you have to get down to the basis of, are you emotionally available? Do you carry baggage with you? Are you ready for that? What are you looking for? Are you healed emotionally? Can you
Mm-hmm.
move on? And how ready are you to commit to somebody else? And those are the tough questions that nobody wants to ask. And I think that that's what people just think they're going to get lucky. And on the next swipe, they're going to hit that one that just has everything they need. But life is about action and communication and getting to the core of all of these things and planting the seed and actually watering the roots so that you can grow. So back to the emotional availability thing, you have to be on the same page with this person and have the right intentions. But if you ask the right questions, you'll get better answers. So in the beginning, if you have, I'm not saying go in with a checklist, but in your mind, what questions you want answered, and don't be afraid to ask them, because ultimately in the end, if you don't, you're the one that gets hurt. So
Yes.
you might as well get the hard stuff out of the way in the beginning rather than wait until the end and then find out the hard way once somebody has given their heart to another person that,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I should have found this out 6 months ago.
Yes, people, and I want to talk about women. Women, we have this tendency to believe that, you know what, you think that, but of course, with me, he's gonna change his total opinion because, I'm so special. So,
Mm-hmm.
even though he told me he's unavailable for serious relationship, but I'm a catch. So once he he gets to know me, he'll be totally hooked, and we're gonna be together. And unfortunately, being from Ukraine, it happens a lot over there because our men, we have a lot of women who are not afraid to be feminine, and they're always beautiful and attractive. And some men, just not weak when it comes to that department. So they get easily, they are open to have all kinds of fun. But the honest ones that tells them, listen, I am actually in another relationship, or I don't want to have a relationship. I like to have my freedom. But women, once again, they think, well, you know what? It's just because you haven't met me before. Now things gonna change drastically. And of course, men,
Mm-hmm.
same thing. Sometimes women tells them that, I just see friendship, and they friend zone you, and you try to convince them, you're trying to earn their love, but they deny you on all the levels. So
Mm-hmm.
this is something, just I think sometimes we gotta, when we connect with people deeper, we can see actually when they say and they mean it, or when they say things just to be pleasant to our ear.
Mm-hmm. I said this last night in the same conversation, and she was asking me about my online dating career, and I said, I'm I the way I have my profile set, I look like a challenge. And when women see that, they think automatically, well, I can change him. And then they look at that like exactly what you said. Well, he hasn't seen the likes of me yet. I'll do that. And then, I mean, ultimately it hasn't worked yet. And I play that to my advantage. I'm sorry, I'll admit, but um, that dynamic is that there's a big difference there between men and women, because a lot of men, not that we're willing to settle, but it doesn't take a lot to make a man happy, right? And I think everybody can kind of attest to that. But for the women, um, it's almost, I don't want to just call women codependent, but they thrive off of that, their power. They do have a certain power over men, and they definitely think that they can use it. And sorry to burst your bubble, but most men are aware of it, and they'll flip that back on you.
Well, not that I would know anything about it, so. Oh my
But
gosh.
it does, it creates, but this is just a testament to what we're talking about. The overview of the topic is, it becomes a game of manipulation, really, and the end game is just self-centered satisfaction. And some people are out to do that to other people. I mean, you're opening yourself up to a lot of people who are users of other people who are looking, if you bring in the whole scenario of a catfish, some people are looking for monetary gifts. Some people are looking for some kind of emotional fulfillment, and they're representing it through a fake profile. But the end game is for their own satisfaction, and they don't care about you. And it's all about manipulation. And the tools on the internet have given people that capability to hide behind a screen, and you don't know who I am, what I really look like. All you're buying is what I'm selling. And it's unfortunate that people fall into that, but we have to take that into account, that some people were selfishly motivated, and that's all that they're after, and these tools have empowered them to do that to other people.
I agree. Well, that is very true. I think there is more tools than ever right now. But talking about some on a positive side, I think it's pretty amazing when and I think the true relationship, the true love, true connection is actually the opposite of that. When you don't need to manipulate, when you can come somebody and tell them your clear intentions, when you can have a conversation, and instead of trying to make somebody doing something. And I think with men is a lot more easier, because as far as I understand, men, they are more straightforward, and as women we hope that you guess what we want. But I feel that if men care about you, he actually will listen, and he will see if he could do that for you. If he wants to be in your life, he will, and you give him a direction what you would like. The good man, so to speak, will say, that's no problem, I'd love to do that for you, because by himself he can't guess it. And once again, I feel that it's an incredible and fulfilling thing to be in a relationship with somebody with who you don't need to play no games, with who you can just be you. And I think this is where you can be satisfied and happy, and you're gonna have your moments, but it's just really awesome when you can show up who you really are and be accepted, instead of trying to carry that fake persona, and then you attract another fake person, and then you have chemistry, so-called, for 3 weeks, and then it's a big disaster because you never showed up authentically, and you had your agenda, the other person had their agenda, and then when you see each other real faces, you're freaking out. So I think that maybe taking some time off and working on feeling comfortable in your own skin, and being okay with showing up as you. Maybe you will get 9 rejections, but the 10 ones will be as weird as you, and they don't need you to play games.
Going off of something that you just said, and in case women don't know, you said we want you to guess and like where you want to go out to eat, and hopefully you're right. Most men, myself included, and I don't speak for us all, but the thing that really makes...
Oh, I'm sorry, I just said I have no idea what it is, right?
No, that's not what I was going to say. I was going to say all we really want to do is make the woman happy and satisfied. And I get my fulfillment knowing that she's happy. So there has to be a mutual place where you can meet in the relationship, where it's not a guessing game. Tell us what you want and we'll provide that for you. And most men are satisfied when their woman is satisfied. And, whether you call that ego or whatever, I think it's just ingrained in our DNA that when we have a happy nest, we're a happy male.
Whatever you call it, it sounds great to all the decent women that do not want to play games. If your goal to bring her satisfaction and you take pride in it, that's what the smart woman wants.
I think a lot of people don't operate on that plane, though, because you have mentally, physically, spiritually, for me, I want to keep a person satisfied by the way I would look. So I take care of my body. I watch what I put in it. I pray and I meditate on a daily basis. A lot of people don't have time for that, but I can tell you, it can only take a minute to just ground yourself and get centered. But your physical and mental health are aspects that come into every relationship. You know, if you're not working on you, how can you give yourself to somebody else? So, you know, you have those two things, and then you have to be connected on that emotional level. So it, by investing in yourself, you're investing in the other person by what you have to offer. You know, we talked about this prior to this conversation. You know, what do you have to offer somebody else? Am I just somebody sitting on the couch who hasn't shaved their face in 3 weeks? And, you know, how good does that look? And can I show up for a date for 1 hour and be somebody that I'd like to be, but I just don't strive to be on a daily basis? So, you know, people catch on to that too. You know, and it's another thing about the energy that you're giving off. People can tell how committed you are to being a better person and in general, and whether you're working on
Very
yourself.
quality, everybody. When you meet somebody who's committed to, you know, consistently bettering themselves, it's like, it's how to say this, the not the deal, I forgot how to say it, but that's really something that person does for themselves. So you don't have to worry that they only, you know, put a lipstick today because they're meeting you, but they generally don't take a shower. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to hold yourself in a higher regard, to a higher standard, and, you know, then you're going to meet those people who do that as well. And what I was kind of going for there is, the reason why I do a lot of those things is preparing myself for whoever I'm about to give myself to. You know, so when you look at it in that regard, I'm looking for somebody who is going to be a companion, a mate. We're equally yoked. We're on the same page mentally, physically, spiritually. We have the same goals. We don't always have to eat the exact same food, but what we put into our body is something that we're looking as fuel to push forward together. You know what I'm saying? So not everything has to be the same. There's things about other people that you have to accept, but what is the end game there? And can you do those things together?
Yes, that is a great point. It's definitely, I feel that when people really connect on all these levels, you know, when the first bubbles, so to speak, you know, the butterflies are kind of, you know, things are settling down a little bit. When you have all these things in common, when you actually took the time, when we talk in the beginning of conversation, when you took the time to get to know somebody, it never gets old because you always have things in common. You have common goals. And I just really think it's so inspiring and exciting, and it keeps those juices flowing. The relationship does not become stale when you have all this interest. Like every day you have something to share. You know, you don't even have to do the same business or the same activity, but when you on fire about something and you have another person that's, even if they don't understand that particular passion, because, you know, they don't do that, but they understand how that feels, and they can, you know, you can keep sharing and maybe have some common projects. I really believe that that is the base for something that is going to last, and it's not just this, you know, spark for 5 minutes when you meet somebody and you just get completely deceived. So, but it takes some work, you know. It's funny because it always sounds so boring, you know, when you talk about working on yourself. I sometimes feel like a broken record, you know, when I have somebody who's been asking me for help, just not even in dating, but just how to just have a better time. Somebody, because I talk about this in my videos, I went through depression and anxiety and all of that. And I always knew that there is an answer. I don't believe in pills. I don't do pills or drugs or alcohol, you know, stuff like, I don't believe in it. I believe that the keys are inside. So I was looking for those keys, and some people see my change and they ask me, but I have some people that ask these questions, but then it sounds so, you know, I wish I could say like something exciting, like, you know, have the red wine, or, but it sounds so boring to people, you know, when you tell them, well, you know, you have to put, you know, you have to create a routine or regimen. You have to go to bed at the same time. You know, people look at it, how is that connected, you know, or, you know, making your bed. And they look at it like, oh, how is that connected with having a more fulfilled life? So sometimes the basics of really great things, they are so simple, stupid, and boring, but they're the only thing that works.
Right. And anybody that you're going to connect with who's operating at this level or having the reason why you and I are together having this conversation is because we do those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're trying to be better people. And every speech, every talk that you give, I don't care what the topic is, it can always end up sounding like a motivational speech, but the basics are always the same. Um, you know, wake up at the same time. And no matter who you talk to, highly motivated individuals, they're all going to tell you the same thing. You know, I eat clean, I do intermittent fasting, I go to bed at the same time, I go to the gym at the same time. You know, I don't eat pizza and Mountain Dew every Friday night because cheat day or anything like that. There's people that operate at an optimal performance level. And this, like I said, this is kind of getting way off topic, but
No, fine.
it's the basic fundamentals of living a clean and healthy life, because if you're not operating there, then you do have people who struggle with those emotional issues and they really don't know why. It's because they're putting all that garbage into their body. I too, you know, I avoid any mood or mind altering substances. I don't use wine or alcohol as a coping mechanism. That's not the easiest way to live your life, but I tell you right now, like, hold on, pain ends. And you can get through anything if you face it head on, day to day, one day at a time. So no matter how big your problem is, hiding from it doesn't minimize it. It just lets it continue to grow. So you have all these aspects of your life where, you know, problems are coming your way and you're living in fear and you're not facing anything, and you hide in a bottle of no matter what it symbolizes to you, whether it's food or pills or alcohol, you know, some unhealthy coping mechanism. I assure you that fear is a mile wide, right, and a mile high, but it's paper thin. And all you have to do is walk through it. And you'll find on the other side, all those feelings and emotions that you're bringing upon yourself, they're easily circumvented. You can get through them. You can get around them in a healthy manner. Usually the brain functions on a 15-minute rotation. And however you're feeling or thinking now, if you just wait 15 minutes, chances are it's going to change. So, you know, it doesn't always need to be that instant gratification. And that this all plays back to in the
Yeah.
beginning when we were talking about the instant gratification of the swipe left and right and how the brain works and the addictive features that they have built into them. And this is just the way that it's worked its way into our dating culture as well. So this
Mm-hmm.
unhealthy, fast-paced lifestyle that people are living with the instant gratification has filtered right into our personal relationships. And people are creating unhealthy patterns and habits with the tools that we're given today. And like anything can be utilized to your advantage based on your intentions in a healthy way or an unhealthy way. You know, it's nice to be able to have a dating pool at your fingertips, right? But you can also abuse that power as well. So being mindful in every area of your life, whether we go back to the eating or you know, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
it's all about moderation and keeping it within your limits, because it's always the excess of anything that drives us into an unhealthy
Mm-hmm.
pattern.
I totally agree with that. And I also agree that what you just said is totally connecting with the actually topic of this video, because we started as everything, you know, we want an immediate result. And so I feel when people get addicted to fast food or swiping left and right, I feel that they really distract themselves from the work they really need to do. And once again, it sounds boring, because I mean, who is getting excited about doing the work unless that's a person that loves what they do? Most people I discovered do not love what they do. And when you say work on yourself, people feel like, what? I work 9 to 5. You want me to work on I mean, are you kidding me? I have some videos, my early motivational videos, the ones that get the most feedback. And I've heard a lot back that I need to leave men alone and let them be on the couch. And And I'll send you a link to that video because it's just really interesting. I was just trying to explain how vital those things are. And also in a long-term relationship, guys, as a woman, I can tell you that there is nothing that keeps us, that keeps that respect and love for you when we see that you're doing something, you're working towards something, even if we have no clue, what it is, how it, but when we see men on the mission, there is some of those primal instincts that this man
Mm-hmm.
dedicated, he's on top of his game, he sometimes falls down, but that's why we are there, but we know he's on the mission and he is focused, and he's not just talking all over the place trying to be cute. He's busy, and this is most attractive thing about the man for the long term. So
Mm-hmm.
those all great things, they have a deep root. It takes daily work, daily commitment, and I
Well,
believe,
those are the attractive qualities that women see in a man:
yes.
drive, diligence, perseverance, commitment, all those things. Those are all basically, discipline. All of
Mm,
those are spiritual principles that
yeah.
people either choose to live by or not. And like I said, it's a choice because those are all action words. And when you see somebody trying to be better or learn something new, there's something intriguing about that person that attracts you to them because they're trying to grow their mind, expand their spirituality, or do anything different that's exciting. So, this is to one of your other videos. It doesn't always have, hey, going for a walk in nature,
Mm,
all these other things. Like, I have a lot of hobbies. I like to experience new things. And I'm a driven person. So not everybody's going to go skydiving as much as I do. Not everybody's going to do the things that I do. And it doesn't always have to be in a fitness aspect. So I have some brain building books, and I work on neuroplasticity. I want to learn new words. I want to grow my brain. These things are options. They're free. You can do them for 10, 15 minutes a day. You just have to make the time to do them. So
mhm,
I don't care if you want to learn how to play music, pick up the violin, any of these, a new hobby, do yoga. I just started yoga this year. I quit making excuses. I said, I need to start doing yoga. I've been saying it for years. And
mm,
my New Year's resolution was no excuses. So when I got the schedule for the yoga classes, I said, I can go this time. I'm going to go. Now,
mm,
if you take that into the relationship area, there's attractive qualities about that. Everybody's like, oh, wow, look, this person's doing, they want to be better. Yes, I'm attracted to that person. So there's a couple ways that you can connect with somebody on a very intimate, visceral level. So pain and shared experience in pain is one way that people connect. People connect based off of proximity. That's another one. But you can also, in team building, people get a shared connection
mhm,
whenever they learn something new together. And it doesn't have to be in a competitive nature, but they can expand with each other as they grow in a certain area. So let's take, for example, a healthy relationship and somebody that's more into, maybe it is health and fitness, and you want to do yoga together with your partner. Maybe you want to start spinning, a spinning class or something. And then you have other people who might want to paint a picture together. They're going to take a certain amount of time to learn a new media, to do colored pencil, or they're going to do water paint together, or they might take a violin lesson. And the growing of the mind is where the bond is, because sitting on a couch and vegetating, it's nice to watch a series together, and hey, we both like Peaky Blinders, and we're going to watch that on Netflix, and that's our show. Orange is the New Black, whatever it is. That's okay. That's a common bond. You have a shared
mhm.
experience, but that only goes so far. So
See.
you can talk about that kind of stuff, and everybody deserves their time to rest. But when you grow together is the key to a healthy relationship. And when you see people become vulnerable and they say, hey, I don't know how to do this, or I'm not good at this, and they start getting better with you, then you can work together hand in hand and grow something healthy together.
Mm,
And that's what a lot of people miss, because the brain is stimulated so easily from the couch that it doesn't take any physical activity, because we get those releases of dopamine and serotonin just from the flashing lights or the fact that the screen says it's a match. and you get those signals hitting your brain, and it doesn't take the normal avenues to create them, like physical exercise or growing mentally. Like, so people just succumb to that.
I agree. And and it's a lot easier, instead of doing everything you just said, to just keep swiping.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
it didn't work out. Oh.
But then who is really happy with themselves? So if you're not happy with yourself, how can you be happy with anybody else? You
That's a
know?
good question. And I just think that because we could use all these things, also technology, to our advantage, to actually meet people we otherwise wouldn't meet, to connect with people we otherwise would not be able to connect because of the distance. But everything else is, I think, not so much going and keep widening your options endlessly, but kind of going into depth with one person, if that's something you want, and if you want to have the kind of deep satisfaction that don't just disappear after a short time. So, and well, it was really wonderful to have you over. It's always exciting for me to bring people, especially with their unique perspectives, and everybody of us, every one of us experience world in a different way. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom.
Thank you very much, Veronica, for having me.
Yes.
And as you said in the beginning, I'd have the opportunity. My name is Johnathan Peffer. You can follow me on my social media,
Mm-hmm.
Instagram. It's all the same. I have a public figure page on Facebook. We're promoting the launch of my new application, which is Browser Prime. The emblem is a little white dog with a green background. And like I said initially, we're harnessing the power of the GPS technology to create visible connections instead of misconnections, and actually give people the tools that they need to interact and engage in conversation in real time based on proximity. So, the key for us is to get out and get motivated to start meeting people, because there's a dynamic that's been missing when you set yourself up for blind dates, because that's all that really occurs whenever you're swiping, is you're interviewing somebody to put yourself on a blind date and then trying to jam them into your schedule. So we want to create a more casual, convenient environment where people are already doing what they're doing, and then able to meet the people who are close by to them and have common interest. And then our application is that that one thing that they have in common that helps them get over the fear of rejection, and starts to facilitate communication. And as we say, bridge the gap between the virtual and the real-time interaction. And then you have that magic of, it's in the eyes. You get to see somebody across the room, and happenstance and that chemistry. We want to tap back into the chemistry, because there's a connection there that you can't get from the couch, and encourage people to get out and start being more active. And a lot of people who are just don't have this tool. And I'm not claiming that we have the solution for everybody's problem, but I believe that we've created a pretty active interface that's going to accommodate pretty much anybody, and it's all inclusive.
I agree with that. And I think, as a woman who grew up in fairy tales, I love, as most, as most of girls, and I don't know if that was a good idea, because you always compare, like you walk into the room and, your eyes connect, it's always, there is really special for us. And I think for the men too. I think men actually are pretty romantic too. They just sometimes kind of being cool, but it's, there is nothing like real life connections. And I feel like your app idea and things you're working on will really bring people, help to get out of the couch and go places, with the opportunity to meet somebody face to face, right there, right then, without spending a lot of time, texting. And you have that chance, people who out and they see each other across the room and they already got a green light, and they can have really nice, candid, like storyline situation and circumstance. Then when, if they were to connect and continue, then they have a story to tell to their children, grandchildren.
Yes, because then the answer isn't, oh, we met on Tinder, right?
Yeah.
We met at
Oh
such
my
and
God.
such a place. But the idea of our app, yes, it is a dating app, but what it does is it just gives you the tool that you need to get across the room and make that connection where you might normally miss because you don't have the detail. Oh, is she with him? Are they together? And it gets through all the proverbial bullshit to for
Yeah.
lack of a better term. But with that being said, I also need to mention that our safety has been our number one concern for the end user, women especially. So if there anybody is watching this who would be concerned with stalkers, catfishing, that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
the way that our technology is set up now, first of all, if you're going to be a visible connection in real time, most people aren't going to create a profile that's fake because there's always going to be the chance that somebody can see them in real life. So their
Mhm.
facts have to line up. So there's an accountability aspect there. And second of all, when you enter your address into the application, we disable your GPS for you. So there's certain parameters you can designate in your settings as places where you don't want to be seen. Your home feature is what we call it. You put in your home address and the application disables your location services for you, which you're not going to find that in probably any other application. They always want to be running. They want to be on in the background, in which it would work to your advantage to always leave our location service on so you can be engaging in real time. But we're going to be the only application that disables your tracking location because that's the value there in the data. People want to know
I
where you
agree.
are and what you're doing. So we disable that. And, it's not about the money. It's about your safety for us. So, with that being said, I feel like that's been the missing link that a lot of people haven't been able to build into their design of the
Mhm.
dating applications in fear of, hey, we're going to have stalkers, safety, da da da. So, seeing other people's scenarios play out, we've been able to integrate that into ours. That your our number one priority is your safety.
Mhm. That is very thoughtful because sometimes people just jump into to what looks, fun and bright, and those things get, those things get overlooked, and then, there are stories coming up. I've always,
Mm-hmm.
as a woman, I always thought about these things. Uh, and I always tell, my friends, always go somewhere at first to some kind of public place, where, in my country, it's not even okay. Like in Ukraine, it's not okay to go to a man's house and chill and how's they call it, chill and watch Netflix. Like I'll be mortified if somebody would tell me that. I would immediately know that this person is just out there for some kind of sex and do not want to put even a drop of effort to even try to attempt to, uh, to get to know you. And on second note, also the stalking is always an issue. The people trying to get into your privacy and all of that. It's a great benefit to the app to have that taken care of, and I think
Mm-hmm.
it can make the females, feel a little bit more open to it. So that's
Mm-hmm.
really good stuff.
And
Yeah.
it plays into managing expectations as well. And what you just said, Netflix and chill or whatever that could be for somebody is, if you invite somebody over to your house to do, then they have expectations that those are your intentions. But with us, and not to keep going back to the app and that we have this grand solution, but if you're just out where you are, you have no expectations and it can
Yeah.
just click. It can happen.
And be
So you're
private.
you're really already somewhere you're used to being. The music is what you like. The food is what you're used to. And then
Mm.
you have that common interest with somebody, and then it's a foundation to grow on.
Yes, that sounds really interesting. So keep us updated when, you have things flying. It's like I know you're working on all kinds of things to make the app working well, and we probably going to be back with discussing more topics if you guys show interest, and we can go more into depth from all the points, digital and human and emotional and all of that. I think uh, it's truly beneficial when we have more than one person to contribute to, because it feels like there is so much more than just what's on the on the surface. So I'm really happy to have the wonderful guest today. And my last word today would be this. I feel that social media, dating apps, and all these tools, they are basically like fire. If you want to get warm, you know, you can have a wonderful time near the fire and get warm and cozy and cuddly, and it can be beautiful, delightful experience. Or you can come too close, dive too deep, and get burned. So it's truly up to you. How do you use these tools? Those are definitely tools. They can be used to your advantage, unless you become reckless and using them the wrong way. So with that being said, guys, we'll see you soon. Thank you so much for joining, and have a wonderful day.